Watch what's approaching, the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
Hey, what's good everyone? Back for another showcase. This time it's going to be the 100% potential strength full power Bojack with max level links. I've been working on it for about a week and finally got done, so glad to be done with it, to be honest with you, and kind of test out the stats and whatnot. So let's go ahead and talk about the stats and dive into basically the full credentials and performance of the units. So again, extreme strength type full power Bojack max stats. HP is 11,145. Attack is 11,160 and defense is 6,913. Leader skill is strength type key +2, attack and defense increase of 50%. Super attack causes extreme damage to enemy and also greatly lowers defense. For the passive skill, it's a base attack increase of 90% when performing a super attack. So given the fact that this guy only has extreme damage multiplier for the super attack, it's quite impressive the numbers he's able to reach. I mean, given the 90% boost to attack is a very, very nice percentage point, it's actually quite impressive that he's able to hit some of the numbers here. Now, in terms of links, all at level 10, you've got the following. Hera Clan is key +2, and attack and chance of performing a critical hit increased by 5%. Galactic Warriors is key +2, attack and defense increase of 20%. Big Bad Bosses is attack and defense increase of 25%. Thirst for Conquest is attack and defense increase of 15%. Coward is key +2, and chance of performing a critical hit increased by 5%. While standing tall disables enemies' true power and attack increase 20%. And then lastly, shattering the limit is key +2 and attack and defense increase of 5%. For the categories, Resurrected Warriors, Movie Bosses, Full Power, Time Travelers, Terrifying Conquerors, Inhuman D's, Space Traveling Warriors. And then for the 12 key multiplier is 133%. So again, you got to keep in mind the extreme damage multiplier along with the 90% to the passive skill is pretty much, attributing to a lot of, this guy's performance. Obviously, the way the teams are built, it's meant to optimize him in terms of, the link level support as well as, the actual supporting units on the rotation. But I figured a lot of people would want the new transforming Bojack linked up with this guy just to see how the rotations work. So I did include a fair amount of clips with that, but I did transition over to the Conquest of Terror / transformation boost setup in the second half of the video. I kind of, it was a little bit better in terms of team building for that regard, especially given the fact that I don't have the strength transforming Bojack. So kind of went with two different formats here, but concept-wise, I mean, it's the same type of deal. It's just different rearrangements of the units included on the team. But I really did want to test this guy out because I did want to see how much of an impact, in addition to a 90% increase to attack for the passive, the link levels would actually impact. And it seems like it's a fairly decent amount. Obviously, more so when you're including units that link well, like the other Bojack units like LR Bojack or the Strength Bojack, link sets are pretty common across the board, so you're able to maximize a lot of the the key boost, attack and defense boosts and whatnot. So a lot of it's driven by that. But at the same time, considering this unit's pretty outdated, it was actually pretty decent in terms of what I expected out of it. I was hoping, as long as this guy is able to hit, 1 million plus in attack stats and defense somewhat okay, that's pretty much all I was looking for here. But yeah, it seems like he definitely surpassed my expectations. I mean, upwards of, I think the top side number was like 1.7 million, given it's probably with the double support rotation type deal, but that's still pretty damn impressive at the end of the day. So, I didn't expect it to be able to hit that sort of level, but again, in terms of practical function and usability, I definitely would recommend you not necessarily use it. I mean, the AGL version is probably even better than this version, but at the end of the day, this guy's certainly a bottom feeder in terms of the units you would include on your team. So I'm not necessarily suggesting you 100% potential this guy, but that's I guess in that regard, that's what my channel's for, right? I tend to rainbow and max level link some of the more obscure, obsolete units, and maybe give you a better idea how they perform in today's state of Dokkan Battle. So, I'm working on several different units right now in terms of grinding links. But if you have any suggestions, as always, feel free to leave a comment. I can't necessarily promise you that I'll cover every single unit that's suggested, but if it's within my abilities and I have the time for it, I certainly will entertain it by all means. So we'll leave it at that. I think it's interesting the fact that we haven't really seen any EZA announcements for some of the other units that should have gotten one, especially given the fact that along with the Strength Bojack being released, we do have the Tech LR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan coming out very, very soon. But I was honestly thinking, like, at the very least, like, the AGL version of Super Saiyan 2 Gohan would get that EZA. I think that unit severely needs one. It would be a nice support unit, because I think, if I remember correctly, that guy provides an attack and defense boost of 25% to Tech and Strength type units, or maybe it was Strength and Agility type units, but basically further improving that unit with the EZA stats and passive and whatever would certainly make that unit a lot more usable. The only problem, I guess, is it is a Super Saiyan 2 Gohan unit, so you can't necessarily include the AGL version with the Tech LR version, because they will share the same name. So I guess it's a little bit problematic with that, and potentially that's why they haven't announced it. But back in 5-year anniversary, we had the LR Rose, where the AGL Rose pretty much shared the same name, but they came out with an EZA for him shortly after. So I guess anything can happen. It's just merely down to whether Bandai and Akatsuki decide to announce or release information, I guess, is ultimately what it comes down to. So we're kind of in a seller's market in that regard, right? Everything's dependent on what they decide to do, but I'm sure to some degree they kind of listen to the player base a little bit and probably come up with ideas in that regard too. But it's really hard to say at this point. But back to the Strength Bojack, it's not a bad unit. I wouldn't necessarily go through the trouble of maxing out the link skills or anything, but he does link well with some of the other Bojack units. And if you're struggling for certain team building options, I guess it's certainly somewhat of an option for you. I still tend to think that there are plenty of other better units that would fit the bill. The only problem I have with this guy really is the lack of any sort of defensive boost. I mean, the passive is just a 90% boost to attack. You don't really see anything for the defense side outside of maybe some of the links, but this guy will definitely struggle with the defensive abilities, especially with some of the newer events and whatnot. So I think that's really why this guy needs an EZA, and I thought this guy, along with the Agility version, would get EZAs upon the Strength Bojack or Transforming Bojack's release. So I'm still kind of surprised that didn't happen, but similar fashion, I mean, the Transforming Bardock unit, they didn't announce any of the EZAs for those guys, and they more so desperately need it, because they're actually decent units, and they would support a lot of other more newer units. They just need to be upgraded, especially with their defensive abilities. So yeah, I don't know why they don't release them during certain periods of time. It doesn't really make sense to me, but ultimately they have the boardroom decisions that they make, and we're pretty much in their reliance, basically. So at the end of the day, I mean, as long as they maintain a steady amount of EZAs in addition to like the main banner cards, I mean, I'm okay with that. Like, the best example is the one recently announced where the AGL Kaioken Goku and also the Intelligence type Super Saiyan Gohan are getting EZAs with the Extreme Z area stages. For me, those two announcements were more exciting than LR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, to be honest with you, because it's more, for me, it's more interesting to test out those older units and seeing how they hold up to today's standard. And it's it definitely makes it a lot more interesting for me to be able to test those units out. The Kaioken Goku actually is going to be a very good one to test out. So I definitely do plan on showcasing that unit, coming up when it becomes available. But definitely be stay tuned for that one. I'll definitely make sure to do that. It's a little bit hard with all the content that comes out. It's sometimes a little bit hard to keep up, but I definitely do want to cover some of those units coming up with the EZAs, and also hopefully pull a copy of the LR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. It'd be kind of nice to be able to test that out. It is a double rates banner, so we'll see how things go, but you never know till the last minute until you actually summon what your luck or shaft tends to be. So wish me luck. We'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. But again, this is the 100% potential showcase for the extreme strength type full power Bojack. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys later.